Coffee. It's a good way to start a day, especially when you know you're going to be doing something that isn't all that fun. So, what am I going to be doing today that isn't all that fun? Well, I got a stuck pivot. Pivots get stuck every now and then, and it really hasn't happened a lot this year, thank goodness. And sometimes it's a case of tire, which I really hope it is, because then I don't have to do anything with it. Could be a case of getting stuck in the mud. These things make pivot tracks through the dirt, and there are times that the pivot tracks get too deep that these things just spin in the mud and everything gets out of line and it shuts down. And it could also be a case of gearbox, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we busted U-joints and all sorts of things too. But the problem with this is I've got to go out here in the corn. And the bigger problem is that this is the half-mile pivot. This is the biggest one we got. Usually what we have is about a 7-tower pivot. This one is, I think, 14. So, not fun. Not fun. So when you're chasing a stuck pivot, there are a couple of different ways you can figure out where it's stuck at. If you are a technologically advanced individual, which I am not, you can use a drone. I don't have a drone. I don't know how to use a drone. Boss man don't have a drone. He don't know how to use one. Excuse me. Next option. If you get really lucky, you can climb up the center tower here, and you can see down the length of the pivot, and you can figure out where it's bent, and you can go right there. Follow a pivot track in. Nice and simple. You can't do that. Let's say you can get on one end and you can look down one end of that pivot. Say if you got a part that's raised, you can get up on there and you can look, and it makes it nice and easy. Well, I can't see that from the other end, and I am going to climb this base right here, this pivot point, but I know I'm not going to be able to see anything because of how this pivot's laid out. And I'm going to take you up there with me and I'm going to show you. It's just one of them things. I know I'm going to have to go into the corn. I know it. I'm not happy about it. I mean, I have to. But who wants to walk through corn, especially when it's 103 degrees outside? Okay, guys, we're right on top of this pivot, right on the base. And you can see what I'm talking about. You can't see nothing. It goes uphill right here. And then it goes over that hill and goes down. You cannot see nothing. And other times it would help if I could stand on top of this base. But I got really no way to get up here and support myself and make sure I don't fall. And I'm not too keen on going to the ER. So I'm going to have to walk through the corn and follow the pivot up ahead until I find what I'm looking for. And my luck, it'll be on the very last tower. So how this all works, like I said, I'm going to walk through the corn. Got to walk crossways through it. It is not easy, and believe it or not, the sides of these corn leaves are serrated, so they are very irritating for your skin. You got something hopping through the corn now. That's fun. But you look up ahead of you and you follow the pivot, fight through the corn. Get in there and you go tower to tower to tower to figure out exactly where everything is at, how everything is, and then once you get in 3 or 4 towers, you'll climb up on top of that tower and you'll look out, and chances are you won't see anything there either. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't, but you'll do it anyway. They're not easy to climb up. They don't have a nice ladder. This center point does, but that's okay. Make it work. It's going to be wet, it's going to be muddy, it's going to be hot, there's going to be no airflow, it's going to be miserable, and you guys get to come along for the ride. So enjoy my summertime misery. Well, did I mention that we got flies out here and they bite? You got that too. But the one benefit that we have is that we got 36-inch rows. So they're wider rows than the normal 30-inch that you used to see with corn and soybeans. So that is a bit of a benefit, but the spacing on these plants is very tight. is what is. Oh, and we got coons and badgers and a cow dog that will come out here and scare the hell out of you. So there's that too. You can see what I'm talking about with the pivot track. This is Tower 1. And we're good. And what we're really looking for is on these tires, you can look for one that's slicked up, and that will tell you that she is spinning. And if you don't have a tire that's flat, you can start looking at a gearbox, something else, and then you would also have to climb up there and make sure that this is exactly where it's bent before you send somebody out here to mess with it. But on to the next one. Well, I didn't think I'd have to mention this, but I am in ends right now. So normally the end rows, we run back and forth on the ends, headlands, whatever you want to call them. And that is usually 24. I think we do 24 rows. And then part of that 24, you have the other rows that are running north and south. And well, here is the combo right here. This is just a mess to get through. Like, you guys see how thick this is? Got rows going every which way. This is a jungle. Well, Tower 2. She looks good. Keep on pushing. Well, here's 3. 3 don't look too bad. So that's always fun. Now keep moving. Well, here's 4. Still good. So I'm gonna climb this tower. I think that it should also be worth noting that leather soled boots, as nice as they are, they do not work very well when they're muddy trying to climb this. There are some nice gaps, and they want to slip and they want to slide, but oh well, upward I go. Well, I'm gonna flip you around here, guys, and I'm gonna show you kind of what I see. Hopefully I can zoom in enough so you guys can see it. All right. Well, if anything is out, it's way down there at the end. So I'm going to follow the pivot track out of here, jump in the Ranger, and I'm going to go down the end and walk in that way. Well, I told you guys it'd be right down at the end, didn't I? But that is why you climb towers. You don't climb every one, but I knew from looking at the base I'd have to go about 4 before I could see over that hill. So there we go. But that's why you do it. So I'll walk back, get in the Ranger, go all the way down the other end, try to figure out where the end of that pivot is, because it's not going to be right out there next to the road. And, well, go in from the other side and see what we see. We'll figure it out. Alright, so one thing I forgot to mention, and might be irrelevant to a lot of you, but we're on load control today. And what that means is that when it's really hot and they think there's going to be excessive pressure on the power grid, they will knock off the power for a number of hours, usually about a 12-hour set with the irrigation, because we run a lot of electric wells. All the pivots are electric, all the motors power the wheels on the pivots, they're all electric. So they'll knock the power off, and usually it's, you know, maybe 10, 10:30, 11 when they do it. They did it about 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning. And it's not that big of a deal, but usually when you go get a tire or whatever put on, when you figure out what's going on, you have them reset the pivot, get it straight, get it in line, so when you're ready to go, you can just start it and run. But not going to be the case today, which isn't a big deal. We can do it. We just got to come out here and do it. So, whatever. Off to the other end I go. All right, down here at the other end, and I can see the sprinkler right there, right there. And I can see which direction the pipe is running. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through this corn crossways until I can see a pivot pipe ahead of me or over top of me. And then we'll just keep walking down from this end and see what we see. But you can see right here, isn't it amazing? This is where the pivot don't hit. See how dry this stuff is here? Corn's already starting to turn. Ears are not anywhere near as big. Irrigation works wonders. See, the ground's already cracking here. Shows you how dry it's been here lately. So it'll look a lot prettier further in we go. Well, you can see here's kind of our line to where the pivot comes in. Starts getting stuff wet, and you can already see how much better the corn looks. Just right here. Right there. One row over. Unbelievable. Water is a good thing. Well, here's the last tower, 14. And we're looking good here. So keep pushing through, and it should be one of the next couple, I believe, if my vision was correct. And with that being said, I will probably climb up the next tower, or the next one after that, one of those two, just to kind of see where I'm at and see how far away we got to go. But we'll see. We will see. Hey, to you guys that are not that familiar with corn, want to see something cool? These little guys right here, right there, those guys are called anchor roots. And what those guys do is they anchor that corn in the wind. So when the wind's whipping this around, the corn stays put. Pretty neat little things, aren't they? Okay, so this is tower 13. And I'm going to climb up, just see what I see. So, handy bit of information for you guys. And I know this, and I make this mistake all the time. But if your pivot's moving clockwise, we call it moving forward. If it's moving counterclockwise, we call it moving in reverse. Pretty simple concept. And so, when your pivot is moving forward, and one of your tires goes bad, or one of your gearboxes goes out or whatever, and that tower stops, the other towers ahead of that tower are going to keep moving, and that's what throws it out of line and throws the safety switch and shuts everything down. And I mean, that's what we're looking for, is the bend in the pivot. Well, when you're looking at that, you know this thing was moving forward, and you know these other ones are going to be bent further forward than the rest of the pivot. Well, then you climb that particular side of the tower so you can see where the bend is, not the other side like I just did. But I can look through and I can see kind of where the bend is. Looks like I got to go in 2 more towers. So we're at 13, that'd be 12, should be tower 11-ish. Somewhere in there, 11, 10, something like that. So down I go. And here's tower 12. And we're looking good. So keep at it. Well, there we go, guys. This is tower 11, and that is a tube. I don't know why they have a tube in there. We usually don't have tubes in there, but tire's off the rim. Tube is wrapped around the rim and the gearbox and all that. I think the gearbox is probably fine. But yeah, there we are. Just went bad. Now look over here at the other side. You can see that's slicked up nice. Go through corn, we'll look. Still on the rim, still real dirty. But there she is. So my next order of business here is going to be to call the people, and I'm going to tell them what tower it's on, which tire it is, and they'll go ahead and come out here and change it, and everything's going to be peachy. Now, could I do that? You bet. Do I want to? No. It is not as hard as you would think to get a new tire out here, but then you got to put a high lift jack on it, jack that up, block it up, do what you got to do, and pull the old one off, put the new one on. And you know, pushing the new one out here through the pivot track is kind of a pain. Not as hard as you think it is, but it's still a pain. But it's getting this one out that is going to be hard, because those things, when they get full of mud and water, are heavy. So let them do it. well worth $1,000 we pay him to do it. So, at any rate, I'm gonna go make my phone calls and I'll come at you here in a little bit. In case you guys were wondering too, I can't just follow the rows out like I did back over there, because over there I had a shallow hill that I'd climb up. This one I got a lot further to walk to get back to the hill, and it is a bigger hill, and then I got to walk all the way around again. So the quickest path to my goal is going straight back through the corn, which is not enjoyable in the slightest. And we're out. Well, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, and I'm exhausted. But I'm not mad. So that's always a silver lining. Because I'm going to tell you guys, when you go and you chase a pivot and you find out that you can't find out where it's stuck, or you find out the thing just dug a hole and you have to haul rock out there to it and dig it out, boy, that makes you mad. This, at least we found it. And I didn't have to walk the entirety of the pivot to do it. I think I walked in 8 towers total, 4 on the other side, and was it 14, 13, 12, 11, so 4 on this side. So that's half the towers of this pivot. So that wasn't awful. I mean, it's not fun, but it wasn't awful. But trying to weave your way through this corn, especially when you're going crossways through the rows, that gets to be work. Those corn leaves, they like to tie in together, and it's just hitting you in the face and in the neck, and it's serrated edges that make you itchy, they're uncomfortable. You can see my skin's all red. It is what it is, but that's how it's done. That's how you diagnose a stuck pivot. Not fun, not enjoyable. You pick the lowest guy on the totem pole, which happens to be me in this 2-man operation, but it is what it is. You get it figured out. At the very least, I get to call somebody to come put a tire on and cut that tube off. Thank goodness I don't have to do it. There are guys around here that do all that stuff themselves, and you wonder why. Pivot tire itself is going to cost you like $900, and you're paying $1,000 for the operation. I mean, I gladly pay that extra couple hundred bucks. That's just me. But at any rate, guys, I'm going to cool down a little bit. I'm going to head back to the farm and then go see what else I'm going to do for the day. But figured I'd take you guys along on this wonderful expedition. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, I thank you guys for watching.